Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be previewing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 15 matchup versus the Atlanta Falcons. And again, I'm not alone in this video, guys. Joining me yet again for the second video in a row, it is Billy from Owen the C. Billy, again, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Super excited. Let's go, Bucs.
Me too, man. I'm excited too. We actually have 5 storylines to talk about coming in to this game, so I'm very excited to get into them, Billy. Let's not waste any time talking about the first storyline, which is going to be Leonard Fournette starting as Ronald Jones has been listed out for this upcoming game. So we talked about it a little bit in the last video. We are going to continue to talk about it a little bit more in this video. What are your thoughts on Leonard Fournette? How much work do you feel he is going to get? And just give me your overall thoughts on the situation.
I don't know how to feel in terms of how much work he's going to get. I know what I want to see happen, but I'm a little fearful that it won't happen. My biggest fear is that Leonard Fournette gets like 11 carries in this game. That would be a nightmare for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because there's just no reason for it. Leonard Fournette gets touches, the Buccaneers are going to run the football well, they're going to be successful. There's no way Leonard Fournette, right, like I mentioned, we talked about it in the last video, there's no way he has 25 carries for anything less than like 85, 90 yards, close to 100 yards, maybe a touchdown. If you give him the ball, he will do well. And this is the situation that you get a guy like Leonard Fournette and you get a guy like LeSean McCoy for, so they can come in when you need them, because Ronald Jones is on the illness list. They could come in when you need them, and they can make plays. They don't necessarily have to carry the team, but they do have to carry the run game.
I agree. Thank you for using illness list, by the way. We ain't trying to get videos taken down. But I do want to say, and I will say this, and this is going to sound pessimistic, but this is genuinely how I feel. I think max Leonard Fournette gets 17 to 18 carries in this game. Max. Do you blame me? Do you blame me?
No, that's my biggest fear. I think it's totally possible.
And I feel just the way that this offense has been run throughout the whole season, you know, with Ronald Jones and the fact that this man is, by the way, a top 5 rusher in this league, yet, this man does not get the carries that he needs. I'm looking up right now, Billy. He has only gotten 20 or more carries 3 times this season. 3. Yeah. So I have no reason to believe as to now that, okay, Leonard Fournette's the starting running back now, let's give him 20 carries or more. 17 to 18, I feel, is the max.
But don't you just hope, because Josh Wells is in there, no Donovan Smith, they'll feel like they got to run the football to help out the pass protection just a little bit more than they have been. Like, don't you just hope? Like,
Well, you know, that's the thing. You know, Bruce Arians had said that, you know, with all the criticism about the play calling, things like that, he had said, well, Tom Brady picks the plays from the game plan and things like that that he wants to run, whether or not that's true or not. If that's true, then maybe Tom Brady says, I don't want to get sacked or hit a ton of times this game. Let's run the ball more. I don't know what Byron Leftwich thinks, man. You know what I mean? Like, if it's Tom doing it, then yes, we might see more running. If it's Byron Leftwich doing it, I don't think so, because we just know how Byron Leftwich is as an offensive coordinator. He wants to pass the ball a ton, which I do understand it is a passing football league now, but there are certain situations where it's like, okay, we got to give this guy the football 20-something times, you know, to take some of that pressure off the offensive line and off the passing game as a whole. So depending on how this game goes, you know, if they don't get into a hole early and they get ready to go, you know, and they're doing fine early on, then yes, I do think it is possible. But I'm just not super confident about it because given Byron Leftwich's history so far this season in terms of giving running backs carries.
I think it definitely makes me nervous. It should be noted that Bruce Arians, right, he said during the bye week, Ronald Jones needs 20 touches a game. Obviously, coming out of the bye week, Byron Leftwich, you could chalk it up as a failure because he didn't get Ronald Jones 20 carries. He did get close, though, right? He had 18 last week. So if Leonard Fournette, if you keep that mentality, right, Leonard Fournette should at least get, like you're talking about, 17, 18. You're talking about that as a maximum. And the scary part is, I agree with you. I think Byron Leftwich will just get pass happy in this game, as he has shown a tendency to do all season. I think the Buccaneers will start winging it all over the yard and just completely forget about Fournette. But I really hope they give him an opportunity, because you talk about a guy who's got motivation, who's got a skill set, and it's literally the entire purpose of why you brought him in. So it would be irresponsible to not utilize him.
I agree. I agree 100%, man. I really do. So fingers crossed we will see. But the second storyline that we're going to be talking about coming into this game is another big one. We had just mentioned one offensive player being out for this game. Now we're going to mention a second one. Donovan Smith is officially listed as out, as he has been placed on the illness list, and the starting left tackle for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons will be Josh Wells. Billy, what are your thoughts?
Talked about a little bit in the last video. I don't want to slam the man too hard. Yeah. It's not going to be pretty. If he is asked to play left tackle with no help, one-on-one, just win his matchup, it is going to be an ugly game for the Buccaneers passing game, for Tom Brady, for Josh Wells. Just, it's not going to go well. The Buccaneers, and this factors in with the run, right? Because the run sets up play action. You could do a lot of different things, get more creative. You got to help. You got to help Josh Wells. You got to help him with extra people. Rob Gronkowski, Anthony Auclair, Leonard Fournette, LeSean McCoy. And then you've got to help him with the play calling and the scheme. Run the football. Don't leave him. Please, Bruce, Byron, Tom, whoever is in charge, please do not leave him on an island, one-on-one, more than – just don't do it. Just as a matter of fact, do us all a favor. Don't do it not one time. Please do not leave him on an island. James, you and I have seen it. He can't handle it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and it was important that you said that. This could go not good if they don't help Josh Wells, right? He needs the help. Lord knows he needs the help, okay? Because, you know, you said you don't want to slam Josh Wells too hard. That's fine. I'm giving him a choke slam. I'm giving him a tombstone pile driver like I'm the Undertaker or something. Because, my gosh, he's still one of the worst offensive linemen I've ever seen play the NFL football, okay? Like,
isn't it fitting that he's Donovan Smith's backup?
And I will say that is a little bit of a criticism for the general man, for Jason Light, is to say, why didn't you get a better backup here? But, just he needs the help. And you pointed out perfectly, they would be foolish to not give him the help that he needs in this game. Right, and it's not too difficult, because you do have Ali Marpet, who is going to help out an insane amount. If you put one of your best blocking tight ends, be it Gronkowski, be it Anthony Auclair, next to Josh Wells, and then even for more protection, you put a running back on the left side of Tom Brady and say, buddy, just be right behind there in case anything bad happens. Like, do that. Do that, because it needs to be done. I trust everybody else on this offensive line. Right? Yes. Even Alex Kappa, I'm gaining more trust in every single day. Yes. But I already did not have a ton of faith in Donovan Smith, and I sure as heck do not have any faith in Josh Wells. And that is mean, and that's not good. And I'm sorry, I try and be very positive on this show, but Josh Wells is Josh Wells, and there is no getting around that. I will be...
Bruce Arians said he's going to play a heck of a game.
If he is right... I would be shocked if Josh Wells, by some miracle, and hey, crazier things have happened in the NFL, right? If he somehow wins his one-on-ones, I'm going to make him player of the game. Like, because that's an incredible feat of his own,
It would be.
I mean, my gosh. But Billy, going into the next storyline here, this one's a big one for the Falcons offense. No Julio Jones. So we are going to be getting a lot of Calvin Ridley versus Carlton Davis. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Love the matchup. Think it's outstanding. Who remembers the Carlton Davis getting that interception in Atlanta where he ripped it out of Ridley's hands last year? Boy, that was fun to watch. Hopefully that happens again. I love that matchup. I think Carlton Davis has shown, at least to me as a Bucs fan, right, I think he's shown that he's good enough to take out a number one receiver, so long as there's not a significant athletic speed disadvantage, obviously referencing Tyreek Hill. But any other receiver that he's been one-on-one with, he's pretty much held his own and won the battle, dare I say. So I have a lot of faith in him, especially since there's no Julio. I think he can handle Calvin Ridley. Even though I do think Ridley's a good player, I just think Carlton Davis will be up for the task. I think he might come away with a pick in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I will say that I do like this matchup a lot more. I think that Carlton Davis would have been fine against Julio Jones, which I know obviously is a tough thing to say, considering, well, he's not even playing anymore now, so of course you can say that he would be fine, but we never know. I feel like he's done okay against Julio Jones in the past. We've seen so far this year, Carlton Davis has taken a huge leap, right? Yeah. In terms of his overall play, going up against number one wide receivers, the Tyreek Hill thing, I mean, that's just unfair, and he did not have a lot of help, point blank.
It's just nobody can play press man against Tyreek Hill. It just doesn't happen. You've never seen,
yeah.
No one even tries it. I guess I'd give him credit just for being out there and attempting it.
Yeah, it's literally it's one of the most impossible things to do. So now going up against Calvin Ridley, who's a great wide receiver in his own right, by the way. I'm very excited to see this matchup. Some other things too. Ross Cockrell playing good. We talked about him in the last video. Sean Murphy-Bunting, we talked about him. There's a couple of wide receivers out there on this Falcons team, like Russell Gage. He's coming up very strong in the past couple of or I guess this season, past couple of years, he's been working his way up more and more.
Who is their other receiver? They have a guy whose name is like Zucchini or something.
Yeah, it's oh gosh.
It's like zucchini. It's something like zucchini.
Yes, I believe I know who you're talking about. He's kind of come on strong the past couple of in a couple of games so far this year. He's
not that.
Let me see here. It's Olamide Zaccheaus. So okay. I'm probably butchering that name, but even him, working his way up in the rotation and things like that could potentially happen as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, but Carlton Davis versus Calvin Ridley, I'm excited for that. The next matchup that we are going to be looking at here is going to be next preview point, storyline point, is going to be former Bucs coaches going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, specifically two former head coaches, Billy. Raheem Morris, who is the Bucs head coach, I believe, for 3 years in the mid-2000s. I think it was, 2007 to 2010? Was that it? Or it might have been 2008 to 2011. Was John Gruden's last year 07?
I want to say it was 08 to 11.
Okay. So, it's going to be Raheem Morris, who is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach in the mid-2000s anyway. And then finally, it is going to be Dirk Cutter, who was the Buccaneers head coach from 2016 to 2018. By the way, Raheem Morris, 2009 to 2011. So, not a bad shot there. Billy, what are your thoughts on both these former Bucs head coaches going up against their old team?
Well, it's always, a little worrisome when you get a revenge game opportunity, because I actually heard the Falcons were feeling hungry. But I'm not too worried. To me, it doesn't concern me that much. It would have concerned me more if we still had Jameis Winston, because when we lost Dirk Cutter, lost is the wrong word, but when Dirk Cutter parted ways and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they parted ways, I was worried about him knowing kind of the ins and outs of how to play Jameis Winston and things like that. But to me, Dirk Cutter doesn't really scare me as a play caller, although I do think we'll get his best shot, because I think he showed you last year when he came to Tampa, they actually threw a touchdown pass downfield to a lineman. That to me shows that's an offensive coordinator putting in a lot of extra work throughout the week. So that to me shows that he's got a little bit of fire in his belly towards the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As far as Raheem Morris, that was a long time ago. That's not as recent. That wound is probably healed a lot more. So, it's an interesting storyline. I do think, like I said, we're going to get their best shot, but we should be able to take him.
Yeah, I never minded Raheem Morris. I mean, I don't think he was in a right situation when he was. He was super young, and now, given the current circumstances, he's actually a pretty hot head coaching candidate. I don't think he's going to get the Atlanta job. You never know. Apparently, a lot of the players like him and are very respectable towards him, and they did give him the job over Dirk Cutter himself, who's the most recent head coach out of all the guys who were there. So, I mean, that guy was literally a head coach 2 years ago, and they said, we're going to give it to Raheem Morris instead, 10 years after he had last been a head coach. So, I like Raheem Morris as a person. I think that he would be a solid head coach in the NFL. I still don't like Dirk Cutter. Ever since what he did in terms of stunting the growth of guys like Alex Kappa and Ronald Jones by not playing them, I think was just, and James Winston, I think it was irresponsible. And I know that he was trying to save his job, and I don't blame him for that. But, there are definitely things he could have done that I feel could have given him a better chance to win. And part of that was playing the guys that you drafted, playing the high-tier draft picks that you drafted. But, I mean, that's...
Ronald Jones is really the big one, because we could argue back and forth on James Winston and Alex Kappa as like a lineman, so how much do we really know? But Ronald Jones, you see the difference. Like, Ronald Jones is a very good player, and Dirk Cutter literally just sat him for the entire year for no reason.
For Peyton Barber.
That's crazy. Think about that. Think about that coaching decision that he made. That is a crazy coaching decision.
Yeah. I agree. So it in terms of being worried or anything like that, I think Dirk Cutter, like you said, will give us the absolute best that he can offer in terms of an offensive coordinator. And I think Raheem Morris, I don't think he cares anymore, about being fired as the Bucs head coach, because
he's gone against the Bucs as a defensive coordinator before, right? So it's not like it's not as fresh. I feel like for him, for Dirk, it's still pretty fresh.
Yeah, that was only 2 years ago, and I definitely think that it will be interesting. It is a fun storyline, like you said. We'll see where those guys end up. I did want to say, though, about Dirk Cutter was fun fact is he had spent 3 years as the offensive coordinator before joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then he spent a year as the offensive coordinator, 3 years as the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then he went back to Atlanta for 2 years now, including this year, to be the offensive coordinator for them again. And then before that, the man was all the way in Jacksonville as an offensive coordinator for 5 years. So this man has spent, 14 years of his life, something like that, as the offensive coordinator or head coach for either a Florida or Georgia team. I mean, he's been in the Southeast for a long time. I just thought that was an interesting fact.
Oh, what a mess the Falcons are.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe they have some continuity and some unity under Raheem Morris, but in terms of stuff right now, I mean, a little bit of a tough situation for, a guy like Raheem Morris just getting thrown into the head coaching job like that. So anyway, Billy, the last thing that we are going to be talking about here in terms of our preview for a storyline is the Mike Evans quest for 1,000 yards. Billy, I believe he is 331 yards away. There are 3 games left in the season. What do you think? He needs to get around 111 yards a game, I think.
Well, I know he can do it, is how I feel. I really, I want to say for the last 3 or 4 seasons, I've been sitting on this record just waiting for it to happen, assuming that Mike Evans would break it, or just assuming that if he stayed healthy, he would break it. The scary thing is he is healthy and he might not break it. It seems like he's not going to break it. I do think that internally they want him to break it. I think Mike wants to break it, and I think that Tom knows that it exists and would like to help him break it. I'm not saying they're going to put a detriment out towards winning to break it, but they do want in the back of their mind to get it to him. To me, he could have one game where he just catches 11 balls for 150 yards and be kind of right back on pace to just barely eke out that 1,000. Of course, right now you talk about 111 yards a game is a high standard. But Mike Evans could get Mike Evans could go off at any moment. It's just a matter of opportunity and just making the plays that are there to be made.
Yeah. And I will say, despite only the 669, receiving yards, 11 touchdowns so far this year, which is, he only needs one more touchdown to tie his career best. And then after that, I mean, he's got his career best in terms of touchdowns. You said that, Mike Evans, he probably wants that record. I agree with that. But, I mean, hey, if he wins a Super Bowl, I don't think he cares. Or if he's making the playoffs for the first time in his 7 years as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, I don't think he cares.
And that's the thing to me that I got his little figurine right here, right? Mike Evans. That's the thing to me that separates Mike Evans from all these other great receivers, because think about, just if that were you, the huge hit that that record is out there, and you want that record, you're clamoring for, right? He grew up a fan of Randy Moss. When this is his chance to actually break his idol's record, that's a crazy feat, and he's setting it to the side, not making a big deal about it for the betterment of the team. That deserves all the recognition, all the credit in the world. It shows why he wears the C, and it shows why he's such a great teammate for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting depending on how this game goes. Because if he doesn't have a 100-yard game, I mean, it's over. You know,
it's pretty close to over. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that there'd be no chance, but
on the bright side, they did get him a deep ball last week, so they worked him in.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if he has 200 receiving yards, something absolutely insane, or 150 receiving yards, you never know. But
Which he could.
If he doesn't get it, I want to hear somebody ask him about it, you know, and I would love to hear his answer, because I'm sure it'll be a very humble, very good answer, you know.
Even if he doesn't get it, guys, it's no shame. He's tied with Randy Moss. It's literally, a legend status. It's crazy to do what he's done. Like, I know something that was funny to me. One of the people who worried me, I did not want to see break it, was Michael Thomas. Right? And Michael Thomas, I was like, he just keeps, if you look at his stats, he just feeds 1,000-yard seasons out since he's been in the league, right? So he's obviously eligible to break it. But Michael Thomas this year is not going to break it, because obviously he's had a tough season. So that just goes to show you how hard it is to be as consistent as Mike Evans has been. And appreciate what the guy has given you. And then the fact that he's going to, due to almost circumstances outside of his control, miss this opportunity at a record, and he's not making a big deal about it, and he's just staying a good teammate, staying a good leader, and staying about the team and not about the individual. Like, take a moment and just appreciate that on Sunday when you see him out there. Like, that's the kind of guy you want to be the leader of your franchise, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And Billy, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and wrap up this preview video. Billy, before we go ahead and head off here, for everybody watching this video, you can check out ON the C. I will have the link to the YouTube channel in the comments section down below. Billy, do you feel the Buccaneers are going to win this game? If so, if not, what do you think the score is going to be?
I'm nervous. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I do think it would have been a blowout if we had Ronald Jones. I think that's a huge loss. I'm nervous. I kind of think the Bucs are going to eke it out. I'm going to say 26-21.
Okay, that's a fair score. I'll go with 31-28.
Ooh, a little high scoring action. Okay, are we winning field goal?
We may win by a field goal. Ryan Suckup out there.
The boy?
Yeah, Ryan Suckup coming out there. You know, hey, I
love it.
You know, that could happen, man. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and end off this video. Give your thoughts about everything that we talked about down in the comment section below. What are some of the other storylines that you guys are going to be keeping an eye on coming into this upcoming game versus the Atlanta Falcons? Billy, again, thank you so much for being on this video. Greatly appreciated.
Of course. It's awesome.
All right. And with that being said, guys, we will see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.